Hello, and welcome to Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Joel Kilshoer, and I am your worship associate for today. I am joined by Beth Syverson, our Director of Music Ministries, and Karen Magoon-Pearson, our Director of Religious Education, in welcoming you this morning. Our minister, Reverend Sean Wilshire, is not leading the service today, but she has a special message for you.
Hello, Roomers and Zoomers. So I'm away this week, but my spirit is with you. For those of you who are new to the church, maybe you're just checking us out or curious about Unitarian Universalism, welcome. Glad you're here. You are in for a treat. This is a wonderful, friendly, fabulous, just all-around spectacular community. I hope you can get to know them, because it can be kind of tough to get to know a new community. But here's the thing, just hang in there, join in one of the activities, and before long, you'll get to know people, and then this becomes your church. Well, today we've planned a wonderful service for you, just blending music and word to bring together a helpful and hope-filled message. We hope it will feed your soul. So without further ado, let's go.
Joining us in the pulpit today is someone most of you already know, Randy Cockle. Randy Cockle is a longtime UU and participant in 5 different UU churches. He has a diverse background, which includes chair of the Huntington Beach Planning Commission, adjunct professor at UC Irvine for 12 years, and religious education here and at the Pacific Unitarian Church. We would also like to recognize the many volunteers that helped put this service together today, and that our church property rests on a Hachimen and Tongva land. As Unitarian Universalists, we have many different beliefs, but we are one loving community. We are bound together, not by a common set of rules or beliefs, but rather a covenant. A covenant is simply a promise that whatever our beliefs, we accept one another and encourage each other in spiritual growth. We affirm that all life has inherent value and that all existence is interconnected. We strive for justice and compassion in our deeds and relationships, and we are committed to creating a welcoming community without regards to the traits that sometimes divide people. To our roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones. For our Zoomers, we invite you to say hello in the chat. I want to extend a special welcome to visitors. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you will find it here. Later in the service, we will have an opportunity for you to introduce yourself if you'd like to do so. Let our worship begin with the lighting of our chalice as we say our unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. This we affirm together.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Our opening song is called Die Gedanken sind frei. Don't worry, we only sing it a few times, and the rest is in English. Though that's only the one line in German. Die Gedanken sind frei, which means my thoughts are free. This is an atheist anthem. I invite you to rise and body your spirit and sing this with me, please.
My thoughts Good morning, everybody. I'm here to talk about 4 things today. We're going to talk about why we have an AHA group and what it is. You're going to hear the personal stories from 2 of our members of our group. You're going to learn what brought them to OSCUUC. You're going to learn about what I perceive as the threats to our country regarding the narrowing of the separation of church and state and the theocratic perspective that seems to dominate the right wing of one of our political parties and our Supreme Court. And finally, I'm going to suggest we have much to do, but we can turn this ship around. And if time permits, I'm going to provide a little bit of humor that shows you what we do at some of our AHA meetings.
When you get the hang of the chorus, if you'd like, you may join me. And God said, let there be light. And God said, let there be life. And God said, let there be love. And light filled the universe, and life spread across the earth, and love blooms right where we are. Then light said, I bring you life, and life said, I bring you love, and love said, we are the light. When light shines from every face and life thrives in natural grace, then love grows right where we are. Sing it with me if you're ready. And God said, let there be light. And God said, let there be life. And God said, let there be love. And light filled the universe, and life spread across the earth, and love blooms right where we are. Our minds grow in seeking life, our hearts serve to nurture life, our hands plant the seeds of love. When light guides the life we lead, our hearts know the way to live, and love blooms right where we are. And God said, let there be light. And God said, let there be life. And God said, let there be love. And light filled the universe, and life spread across the earth, and love blooms right where we are. Then love said, with light we shine, and light showed the path to climb, and life said, love transcends time. Our hands join to share our light, our dark turns bright. When minds ignite, our lives reap the fruits of love. And God said, let there be light.
Good morning. Our story this morning is For the Love of Stars by Gail Forsyth Vale. That's right. So once there was a little girl named Cecilia who fell in love with the universe. She felt her heart leap with joy every time she learned something new about the world around her. She wanted to grow up to become an astronomer who studied the stars. Throughout her whole life, she studied and observed the stars, asking, what are the stars made of? How are they born? Do they die? And how do we know? Throughout her whole life, her heart sang with each discovery, each bit of new understanding about the wonders of the far-off sky. When Cecilia was a small child in England, she saw a meteorite blaze across the sky. That's lucky, huh? And her mother taught her a small little rhyme so she could remember what it was. It was, "As we were walking home that night, we saw a shining meteorite." She later told a friend that from that moment, she knew she would grow up to be an astronomer. She learned the names of all the constellations in the sky, picking out the Big Dipper, Orion's Belt, and others. She was naturally very observant and precise, able to remember small details. And by age 12, she had learned to measure things and do math problems easily. At her school, they had an interesting way of increasing the students' powers of observation. So once a week, the students were required to find with their eyes, not touching, 3 little brass tacks scattered somewhere in the school garden. And for Cecilia, always an observer, this exercise strengthened her resolve to become a scientist. But unfortunately, in 1912, when Cecilia was a teenager, there was very little education available for a young woman who wanted to be a scientist. She spent hours in a makeshift laboratory, which she called her chapel, where she conducted a little worship service of her own, in awe before the magnificence of the natural world. She once even created an experiment on whether prayer worked by dividing her school exams into 2 groups. For exams in the first group, she would pray for her success beforehand, and the other group was the control group. She ended up doing better in the exam she did not pray for, and perhaps unsurprisingly, she eventually considered herself an agnostic. In 1919, Cecilia entered college to study botany or plants because that was one of the fields of science that women were allowed to study at the time. She went through her courses, but she also attended lectures in physics, and each new bit of information and knowledge about physics and astronomy transformed her. Finally, she persuaded the college to allow her to take a degree in physics. After finishing her degree, she left for the United States, where she studied as an astronomer at Harvard. And as an astronomer, she figured out that stars are primarily made of hydrogen. And in today's world, we know that to be true, but it was an extraordinary statement at the time. How can you possibly know what makes a star from so far away? And because of that discovery, Cecilia Payne Gopinskin was the first person of any gender to ever be awarded a PhD in astronomy. She married another astrophysicist and had 3 children. She attended a Unitarian church with her family and taught Sunday school there, helping the children at her church learn to fall in love with the universe and never stop asking questions. Like these ones. Her choice to be an astronomer was not popular or appreciated because she was a woman. People kept her from advancing in her career or just didn't believe her. Nevertheless, she was right, and through it all, she held on to her love for the scientific quest and her love for the stars. All right, and now I'm going to light our children's chalice, and we'll sing them out to their classes.
Good morning. One moment, please. Phew, I made it on time. Just barely. Good morning. My name is Lysa, and I discovered OCUUC when my longtime friend Adam Goldman invited me to visit. I asked, "Do they take atheists?" It turns out that OCUUC not only takes atheists, But we also host a monthly meeting of atheists, humanists, and agnostics, going by the acronym AHA. Aha! Now that's an aha moment. I grew up watching science and nature documentaries narrated by David Attenborough and Jacques Cousteau. I was influenced by the well-known atheist Richard Dawkins, the author of The Selfish Gene, and Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, for sort of inspiring us all going green. The world's mysteries and wonders are inspirational enough for me. My default mindset is atheist, but I respect those who practice their faith. I was born in a city once known as Saigon. Now it's known as Ho Chi Minh City after the communist Ho Chi Minh. Communists are supposed to be atheists, and that's all I really know about that. You're going to have to Google the rest. My father was an American GI fighting in the war, and the Army shipped my family of 7 around the globe. We lived in Boston, Indiana, Oklahoma, Washington, D.C., and then Indiana again, West Berlin before the wall came down, and Iran, where my baby brother was born. And since he was born on the Army base, he was already a citizen because he was born on the base. Our family were not churchgoers. My mother was a part-time Buddhist, and she was a Buddhist at home, and we all put our faith in the almighty U.S. Army. I don't have a birth certificate. Instead, I have documents from the Boston Adoption Court, which naturalized me when my stepfather, who was also another GI, adopted me and my brothers and sisters, 4 kids. And that's how we all became American citizens. Instead of thanking God, I thank my mother, my late mother, for keeping us safe from the Viet Cong, who were known to not really be friendly to the children born of American soldiers. She said she had to hide us under the bed. I thank and praise Uncle Sam when we flew safely to freedom instead of taking a treacherous journey across the vast ocean like the boat people. I have faith in friends like Adam, a group like AHA, and someone like Randy Cockle, who's been our steadfast AHA mentor. I'm inspired by all you people here at OCUUC, where we hold many different beliefs, you know the rest, and share one loving community. Thank you.
This song last week, so let's review it again. With our minds and our hearts and our hands, may we choose to bless the world. With our minds and our hearts and our hands, may we choose to bless the world.
Hi, I'm Don Hart, and I suppose I fit more into the humanist agnostic category. I'm not really here to preach anything, or am I against religion per se. And the group has no specific doctrine that I recall. I was never required to read anything or adopt a creed, but some ideas have been floated around like that. I'm not particularly angry at religion, but I'm concerned about some of the groups lately that are influencing political power, as you all know. So we AHA members tend to keep an eye on these groups and separation of church and state, and I think that's a good thing. Somebody should do that. We've had speakers that are from groups that are promoting the separation of church and state in a more formal way. What I can say is that really, as a white Anglo male, privileged, who never had religion forced on me. Although as a child, my parents did send me to Baptist church meetings for children, something beyond Sunday school. But I think there are probably other members in AHA that have deeper concerns about religion. They may feel other feelings than I do. So really all I can talk about is my experience. There's nothing special here. In my hippie teenage days, I read a book about all these cool, miraculous things that you can do with spiritual knowledge. There was a chapter, just one chapter, on how to astral travel. And that should have been my lesson on beliefs and wishful thinking, because I really, really wanted to astral travel. It took years of practical living to cut down on the wishful thinking. Most the time I read a lot of Krishnamurti and Charlotte Joko Beck. And those books are more about thinking outside the box rather than how to stay inside the box and adhere to it. So my thinking is slowly becoming less rigid and leaning more and more towards the creative and the innovative. I mean, I actually bought the book of the Church of Subgenius, if you've heard of it, the Sacred Teachings of Dr. J.R. Bob Dobbs. You should check it out. The Church of Subgenius is way beyond the flying spaghetti monster if you ever check it out. So I always had leanings towards the satire and parody and mockery and the caution that they give about not taking things too seriously. So I know that in religion you're supposed to be dead serious about some things, but I just don't have it in me. I have buckled down and tried to be grimly serious and carefully follow the directions on the box, but I've been able to make progress in other approaches. Later I found that autism runs in my family, and my hyperactivity probably didn't work well in places where you're supposed to be serious and reverent and calm and quiet. I like to work with my hands though, and work on projects. So the saying that God helps those who help themselves fits my inclinations, and I spent more time overcoming my childhood situation and medical conditions than in religious ritual, and it worked. Life got better. Education, science, and logic, study and application of tangible things, as slow and tedious as they are, can go a long ways toward improving things, I found. So when I heard that OCUUC had an Atheist Group meeting, I love novelty and out-of-the-box thinking, so I thought, why not drop in for a visit? So I kind of drifted into Randy's creation here and became more or less a permanent fixture, so much that he puts me to work, like today. To be sure, I first looked around at OCUUC members and figured that this would be a very safe place to drift. No threat here. While that can seem funny, I would ask you to imagine just about any other denomination or church having the openness and sense of freedom and exploration to actually have an atheist, humanist, agnostic group in their midst. That's heresy. So currently I find a meaning and connection in my volunteer work for affordable housing, and I approach that with kind of an obsession. But I really just hang out at AHA a lot. I like the attendees, they tolerate me, but I can't see any profoundly new meaning here except camaraderie and interesting discussions and subject matter. Because I actually think there should be a tip of the hat to religious practitioners, at least the calm ones that don't try to dominate the world and oppress those who don't hold their beliefs. So while I'm not a good religious practitioner, here are some of the benefits. More and more self-help gurus are saying that losing yourself in something, being dedicated and working on your passion, as difficult as that may be, is a form of happiness. So there is this idea that when the Christians in the Roman Colosseum were watching the lions approach, rather than repent, there was a form of happiness and commitment there, and contentment there, in their heroism and sticking to their convictions. Aside from having the convictions to face lions rather than renounce beliefs, science indicates that generally religious practitioners, those that believe in God, that practice prayer and humility, They tend to live longer and are happier. Healthier, too. Now, it could just be the community and friendship that a church provides, but by being one of the few churches that gives a place for AHA types, by providing a place for AHA folks to meet, OCUUC is helping, I believe, to make us healthier and happier. And for that, I am grateful. There isn't much scientific study on religion as I thought there would be. They're working on it right now, and they're trying to figure out exactly what religion is in some circles. But one recent scientist said this, quote, "It's been interesting to see the decline of organized religion in certain countries, which are usually affluent, safe, and secure. As life gets easier, you could say people get more selfish and less attached to group values," end quote. But we are also hearing that more citizens in these countries are feeling disconnected, they're feeling isolated, and that social media is not helping. Other scientists say that narcissism is on the rise. All of this is pre-COVID, so don't blame COVID. Well, that can't be healthy. So maybe thinking about and reverence for things larger than yourself is a good psychological exercise. And in a way, I think it's kind of heroic that OCUUC would have an AHA group to give them a room and credibility. So for this giving, to allow people to congregate and be with their fellows and be healthy, I am grateful again. So thank you all for doing this. Thank you for demonstrating that your beliefs about openness and inclusivity, and by having the AHA group at the OCUUC. So thanks again.
With our minds and our hearts and our hands, may we choose to bless the world. With our minds and our hearts and our hands, may we choose to bless the world.
This is the meditation section, so I'm going to actually try just a little brief meditation. What if spirituality centered around not in believing something, but in knowing, understanding, and sharing? What if you didn't need a mantra or a prayer to get in touch with your inner self, but all you needed was to breathe? For the next few seconds, I'd like you to center on being aware and hearing all that's around you. We're going to focus on breathing and increasing awareness of your environment. And we're going to try, I'm going to count to 5, and you're going to inhale for 5 seconds. So you can close your eyes if you wish. So ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it for 2 seconds and listen. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep your ears open. Listen to the people next to you. Listen to the hum of the 60-second cycle. Maybe there's a little piano in the background. One more time. 5 seconds inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the last 30 seconds, what we've done is we've shared what I found to be the quickest way to relax, to center myself, to become aware of my environment. And I didn't need a prayer. I didn't need a mantra, a god, or a guru. All we need to do is pay attention and breathe. Thank you.
With our minds and our hearts and our hands, may we choose to bless the world. With our minds and our hearts and our hands, may we choose to bless the world.
I'm having a bit of a glitch because the document I needed to have on the screen has disappeared. So if you give me just a moment, I will find it again. Here we go. Just love modern technology because it occasionally works. I like to think it's often user error. And in my case, that usually is it. And it's still not coming up quite right, so let's try it this way. All right, good morning, everyone. It is delightful to be here once again and see your smiling faces. It's been 2.5 years since I've actually been in a church live and in color. I feel like a mountain man that was dragged out of the woods somewhere. He shaved off my hair, took off all the animal skins. I'm wearing leather shoes for the first time in 2.5 years. I feel like I'm walking around a bit like Frankenstein. But I'm here. Now, this service is brought to you by the AHA Group, and we meet once a month, the first month of every Sunday, and the first Sunday of every month. There we go. I can speak English, too. And that's at 12:15, and it's been exclusively on Zoom. Now I'm going to go to on. All right, there we go. It may seem unusual for a church to support an AHA group, but for UUs, it follows from our fourth principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. It seems that in UU congregations, generally between 30 and 50% of the congregations would be comfortable with AHA perspectives. We frequently hear claims that our founding fathers are Christians, so almost 250 years later, all of our laws should be modeled after these famous icons and their religious beliefs. So next we're going to take a peek at some of the beliefs of our founding fathers. When Franklin suggested starting a constitutional convention with a prayer, Alexander Hamilton responded that the delegates did not need to call in foreign aid. And the proposed prayer was rejected. So we'll take a look at some of our founding fathers now. Come here. I got to juggle 3 different things at once here, and I need another arm. Anyway, Thomas Jefferson, our third president, said in every country and every age, the priest has been hostile to liberty. Christianity neither is nor ever was part of the common law. John Adams, our second president, the government of the United States is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. Thomas Payne, whoop. Come on, Thomas. Where'd he go? Here we go. Thomas Payne, activist, philosopher, revolutionary, the writer of some very famous pamphlets. Anybody remember what they are? Common sense. It's very, very rare nowadays, it seems. Anyway, all national institutions of churches, whether Jewish, Christian, or Turkish, appear to me no other than human inventions, set up to terrify and enslave mankind and monopolize power and profit. Oh, my. And then finally, James Madison, our fourth president, said religion and government will both exist in greater purity the less they are mixed together. You can see from these thoughts the founding fathers believed in the separation of church and state. And one of our problems today is that the wall between church and state is being torn down. Today we hear from what I call the Reich wing of politics that America was founded on Christianity. And I want to read this quote to you. This is from, it might be hard, this is from the Treaty of Tripoli. The government of the United States is no sense founded on the Christian religion. I use the phrase Reich wing to refer to the fundamentalist zealots who are trying to impose their faith-based precepts, many call them fake-based precepts, on the rest of the country. These folks, in my opinion, and these are my opinions, these do not represent the UUA, the rest of the church, or the rabid raccoon living under your front porch. In my mind, these folks are a few steps removed from earning the label America's Taliban. It doesn't matter whether you're a Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, or atheist, the fundamentalists are the ones to watch out for because they want to force their beliefs on other people. Many people believe that every word in the Bible is literally true. I have a great deal of trouble with that conclusion, primarily due to the many contradictions in the Bible. And I've studied the Bible from 4 different religious traditions. And that's how I ended up at OCUUC. I was amazed to learn that there's so much disagreement about a fundamental issue of the Bible. Which books are actually part of the Bible? Where did it go? Come here, come here. It'll teach me to get a new computer, huh? Come on. All right. It's one of these. All right, here it is. So how many books are in the Bible? Does anybody know? 66. Anybody else? Ferris? All right. There are 66 books in the Protestant Bible. Give yourself a point, Dave. However, there are 73 in the Catholic Bible. In 1611, there were 80 books in the Bible. In Ethiopian Orthodox Church today, there are 81 books in the Bible. So, in medicine and astronomy and in the sciences, our understanding has evolved in a self-correcting manner. For many, religion does not evolve. From my perspective, if you're green, you're growing. If you're not, you rot. You need to continue to learn and change and evolve. How many of you would go to a doctor whose training and medical texts and tools and techniques were limited to something they learned from a 2,000-year-old book? Not many of us. Now we're going to take a look at some of the Supreme Court issues, legal issues that are still evolving. And we're going to hear first about the First Amendment, and we're going to hear a quote from one of my favorite columnists from Esquire magazine, Charlie Pierce. So the First Amendment: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of press or the right of people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for redress or of their grievances. Here we have what's called the Establishment Clause, which means that the government cannot establish a state religion. It means we have freedom from religion. There's also the Free Exercise Clause, which means freedom of religion. You get to choose any religion you want, if any. Also, the Free Exercise Clause meant that if you, for many years, even though peyote is illegal in this country, if it was part of a religious service, you got to use peyote. Come on, next thing here. I don't know why I'm having trouble with this. There we go. All right. So the Supreme Court, this is from Charlie Pierce. The Supreme Court ruled the Establishment Clause of the United States Constitution is unconstitutional. We're not going to that yet. The court carefully engineered conservative majority opinions that are heading in this direction. They find anti-religious, primarily anti-Christian discrimination in laws which were deliberately written to be religiously neutral. The Supreme Court ruled on June 21st that providing state-sponsored tuition to private and religious schools was discrimination against religion. They ruled that church-run schools are also exempt from federal anti-discrimination laws when it comes to hiring and firing teachers. Personally, I'd like to know, are they exempt from paying taxes? Come on, this is not clicking right. All right, the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Regarding the Second Amendment, it is important to know 3 things. Number 1, the Second Amendment was so important that it wasn't even included in the original draft of the Constitution. Number 2, it is so important it wasn't even the First Amendment. I learned that from Roy Zimmerman. And hopefully you'll get to hear him later on this year. I believe he may be coming to OCUUC again. 3, it was so important that half of it was erased and is totally ignored. And if you can't read that, for those of you who can't see the text, the clause, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, was eliminated. They don't pay attention to it. They erased it. Now, in the days that this was written, state militias were formed to hunt down fugitive slaves. And in many states, young men had to participate in the state militias. They were conscripted. So now, why are these dates important? You probably don't know. I'm going to tell you. Isn't that convenient? The Pledge of Allegiance was adopted in 1923. Many of you think it probably went long before that. When I was in 5th grade, I had a talk with my teacher and my mother about the Pledge of Allegiance. I asked, why do we pledge allegiance to a bunch of cloth rather than the Constitution? And I really couldn't get an answer to that question that made any sense. And quite frankly, I would prefer we pledge allegiance to the ideals of the Constitution, and maybe a few other ideals as well. Perhaps we'll explore a bit. Since I've got the slides up, I think we will. Anyway, please notice that the pledge does not end in the words either amen or play ball. Now, what if for the Pledge of Allegiance, where did it go? Come on back here. We pledged allegiance to the inherent worth and dignity of every person, to justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We pledge allegiance to the free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of the conscience in the democratic process. How many of you would object if we rewrote and updated the pledge to include these type of values in what we pledge allegiance to before every sporting game? Now, Star-Spangled Banner, adopted in 1931. Under God was added to the pledge in 1954. In God We Trust was added to our money in 1956. It's only been 65 years. None of these concepts were created by the Founding Fathers. There is one belief about God that does not enjoy tax-exempt status. As Betty Bowers pointed out, she calls herself America's best Christian. Atheism is the only belief where God is taxed in America. Now we're going to take a look at Roe versus Wade. The Supreme Court, in my belief, has become the death panel we were all warned about. Because of this decision, women will die. This was a judicial coup by theocrats, not a decision based on legal precedent. Back before Obamacare became law, there was a great deal of hysteria about death panels, which is precisely what the Supreme Court has become. In fact, right here in our own congregation, we were able to witness firsthand the effects of the anti-abortion laws before Roe was passed. Many of you will remember Bob and Lila, who were members of our church for decades. Bob was a jovial man who took care of his wife for 50 years after she was denied an abortion to remove a dead fetus. It took about a week for her body to pass the fetus. As a result, she had a stroke and an infection. And because of what would be considered malpractice, medical malpractice today, she lost the ability to play the piano. She was a church pianist. She lost the ability to feed or dress herself or even speak. When fascism comes to America, people attribute this to a number of people over the years. It will be wrapped in a flag, carrying a cross, and will be well armed. And I believe we have to be concerned about these issues nowadays. Now you can see that for those of you who pay attention to the Bible, you'll notice that there are unusual prohibitions, cloven hooves and stoning people to death. Here's a gentleman with a point of view about biblical prohibitions that you probably forgot about, being left-handed. By a show of hands now, how many gods do you believe in is the question. How many of you believe in Greek gods? We got 2. All right. Roman gods. 3. Egyptian gods. 1. All right. The next concept is targeted at cat lovers. How to distract an Egyptian god. Because cats love to crawl in boxes. So, I am optimistic about the future of our country for one very simple reason. Plus is greater than minus. There were 81 million votes, which is greater than 74 million votes. Time after time, we learn that the right wing is a loud, active, and violent minority. They are a minority. There are many more of us who do not believe in the violent and anti-human perspectives. What we need to do is we need to get busy. We need to get active in elections. We need to make phone calls, and we need to make sure that we vote. And don't vote more than once. So, from those of you who like Tolkien, it's like the great stories, Mr. Frodo, the ones that really mattered, full of darkness and danger they were, and sometimes you didn't want to know the end because how could the end be happy? How would the world go back to being the way that it was when so much bad has happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing. This shadow, even darkness, must pass. In a minute, you're going to hear a song that may seem like, in a little while, you're going to hear a song that seems like a strange choice. Amy sang it earlier. We're going to hear an instrumental version in a little while. Seems like a strange choice for an AHA group, but it has evolved, and it was developed to tell the creation story in a way that focused on love and light rather than God. Now, we use the word God in that song a lot, but the focus is on what we do after we're created and what we do after we're earth. So my friends, these are the tools that are going to pull us through the darkness. We need to get involved. We need to pay attention to politics. We need to make sure on the city, state, and local level that we vote for candidates who represent the values that are important to us. Now, if you attend some of the meetings, you're going to find some unusual things. These are the type of topics we discuss with the AHA group. Mom insisted there's no point in putting myself down after allegedly killing herself during a 3-year-old botched exorcism. Roger Stone claimed he found a satanic portal above the White House. Did anybody read that? That was really strange. They actually claimed that this red dot was above the White House and was a satanic portal. More insane than usual, QAnon documentary claims vaccines will transfer Satan's DNA into your blood. And here's a little serpent from the tree, Church of State. I don't care if Thomas Jefferson forbade you to eat it. Grab the apple, eat it now. And if thoughts and prayers worked, people would not have guns. And here's a gentleman saying bans don't work, except you can't ban the gun. And I'm going to leave you with this one. My mom says that she demanded organized school prayers, but this isn't what she intended. Well, I don't think that's going to get you out of handling goat entrails. So, thank you all very much. Thus endeth the sermon.
Please rise in body or spirit, and we'll sing Be the Change. People want their lives to matter. Everyone wants their dreams to soar. Anyone can make a difference. Everyone longs for something more. Don't be afraid to put words into action. storm and destruction, disease and pain. You can say you can make a difference. All that leaves you is nothing to gain. The sound of a movement begins with one voice. Every improvement makes noise. Be the change you want to see. Make the world you want to be. When we cry and complain, still the answer's the same. Turn the page and be the change. Be the change, it's up to you. Make the world a brighter blue. Be the calm in the storm. Be gracious, be warm. When you engage, you'll be the change. Let's arrange to be the change.
Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning that members and friends raise all funds for the operating budget, ministries, and programs of the church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUC amplifies that spirit of generosity by sharing one half of the plate we receive with an organization that shares our values. This month, we are sharing with Sandy Hook Promise. There are multiple ways in which you can support the church and this organization. You can mail a check, go through our website, or use an app called Venko Mobile. The choice is yours. All the information is on our website should you need it. As always, thank you for your generosity.
But I ain't afraid of your Yahweh. I ain't afraid of your Allah. I ain't afraid of your Jesus. I'm afraid of what you do in the name of your God. And I ain't afraid of your churches. I ain't afraid of your temples. I ain't afraid of your praying. I'm afraid of what you do in the name of your God. Can you rise up, find a higher power, free up from fear and will devour you. Watch out for the ego of the hour. The ones who say they know it are the ones who will impose it on you. I ain't afraid of your Yahweh. I ain't afraid of your Allah. I ain't afraid of your Jesus. I'm afraid of what you do in the name of your God. Can you rise up, find a higher story, free up from the gods of war and glory. Watch out for the ego. That's not the words. You need to cheat me, so do I.
Yeah. Go here.
Okay. Rise up, find a higher story, free up from the gods of war and glory. Watch out for the threats of purgatory. The spirit of the wind will make a killing off a sinner, Satan. I ain't afraid of your Yahweh. I ain't afraid of your Allah. I ain't afraid of your Jesus. I'm afraid of what you do in the name of your God. I ain't afraid of your churches. I ain't afraid of your temples. I ain't afraid of your praying. I'm afraid of what you do in the name of your God. And I ain't afraid of your dances. I ain't afraid of your borders. I ain't afraid of your children. I'm afraid of what you do in the name of your God.
They're so great. Now let's please sing our offertory response together. This song puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts we share. We gather together, we gather as one, for peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
Now is the time when we honor the important events in our lives. You are invited, one and all, whether you are a member, friend, or visitor, whether you are a roomer or a Zoomer, to participate in our weekly ritual of joys and sorrows. Perhaps you come here today holding something close to your heart, moments from the last days or hours that have struck you at your core. If you'd like to honor such a profound joy or sorrow, you are invited to do so. If you are a roomer and haven't yet placed your joy or sorrow in a basket, you can do so now. An usher will pick the basket up in a moment. If you are a Zoomer, you can write your joy or sorrow in the chat, or simply write, "Please light a candle for me," if you prefer not to share the details. Let us take a few moments in a spirit of silence as Beth plays some music. Randy Kokal is lighting a candle of joy. Randy's son William has graduated from the University of Oregon with a degree in advertising and a music minor. Pat Larkin has a candle of joy. She has just returned from a 3-week visit with her family. It was a heartfelt pilgrimage to the land of her childhood. Blessed be. Oh. Okay. Thank you. All right, I have a candle of joy from someone I am terribly sorry to that I cannot read their name. Mfanwi, thank you. Mfanwi is a father at the Orange Coast Rescue Mission signed his children up for a workshop that they will teach. Okay. Sue Kwan has a candle of joy. Her sister-in-law, Audrey Prosser, and her sister, Deborah, for their many years of equal rights activism. Yesterday, Audrey was honored by being the Community Grand Marshal in the parade in Santa Ana. She's very proud of her. Rachel Leiden is lighting a candle of joy. She has gotten a promotion at work. She's very proud. Gregory has what looks like a candle of joy and sorrow. His uncle has just passed away at 92. He was a professor of philosophy and religion at Gettysburg College. He was always more interested in what you don't know about religion than what you did. There's a candle of sorrow from Lila for Sylvia Ramirez, who lost his father 66 years of age. There is a candle of sorrow from Ashlyn Ordiano for dying in their Roblox game. There is a candle from Mary Smithberger in loving memory of her sister Karen, who passed away at this time last year, and her mother, who passed away 8 years ago at 99. It's a candle of relief from Dave Carlson, who was able to successfully teach his first college class in 55 years at the University of California. Matthew and Alexander Patterson have a candle of joy and sorrow that they are celebrating their first wedding anniversary today. But they would also like you to pray for Matt's dad, Richard. He was admitted to Utah Valley Hospital in Provo, Utah on Thursday, diagnosed with pneumonia. He's 83 years old. He's doing better and will be released sometime this week if he continues to improve. Jolene Ibanez has a candle of sorrow for women and men and our children. Okay. I do not see anything in the chat, but I am unsure if that is a technical problem on my end. So if it is, I am very sorry.
We have one more joy. When you get to be 90, you get to have happy birthday sung to you. So Paul Gethard is turning 90 this week. So let's give him a big happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Paul. Happy birthday to you.
We have words from Nancy Wood. Hold on to what is good, even if it is a handful of earth. Hold on to what you believe, even if it is a tree which stands by itself. Hold on to what you must do, even if it is a long way from here. Hold on to my hand, even when I have gone away from you. Blessed be.
And now we have the benediction, and then we're going to go out with a slightly different version. Oh, I'm sorry. We extinguish the chalice. Joel? Extinguish the chalice.
Let's join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice and say together, we extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you for joining us this morning. We are a congregation made up of people who all believe differently. And yet, when we gather together, whether we are in the room or on Zoom, we make up one loving community. We need not think alike to love alike. If you are a guest, a visitor, or someone who hasn't yet been known to us, I invite you to become a part of this beloved community. We encourage you to either write in the chat if you are a Zoomer, or if you are a roomer, to stand or raise your hand for a brief moment and tell us your name and where you are from.
Hi, my name is Lila, and I'm visiting my mother-in-law in Orange County. And so I'm coming from Fresno, or north of there, called Madera. And this is my daughter, Nubia.
Good to have you.
If you'd like to know more about our church, including programming for our youth and children, please contact us at hello@ocuc.org and we will help you get connected. In addition, we invite you to sign up for our weekly email called The Blast at blast@ocuc.org. We want everyone to feel a part of this beloved community, so please reach out. Today, we have the Women's Circle at 12 noon at the Victoria Room and on Zoom. If you are interested in the subject of the service today, the Atheist, Humanist, Agnostics, they're the first Sunday of every month at 12:15 in the Youth Room and on Zoom.
Yes, these are difficult times. There are dark, selfish, and malevolent forces who have made inroads. Abortion, gun control, contraception, privacy, same-sex marriage are all on the chopping block, but only if we quit. The only way they can win is if we quit. We will not quit. There is more kindness than selfishness. We will not allow elected or unelected officials to impose their religious beliefs upon our country. When we get knocked down, we will get up again and again and again because we are the majority. The overwhelming majority, 70 to 80% of America, is not okay with what's going on with our country. We are the majority, and we cannot afford to remain silent any longer. It is time to get active. It is time to get involved in politics. We can vote those out of office who represent lies, deceit, and the attempted overthrow of our government. We've done work before that is much more difficult in our history. We fought and won a war for freedom from England, and we fought a civil war designed to eliminate slavery, civil war which was designed to keep slavery and break our country apart. We don't need to do the impossible. No one here needs to bench press 350 pounds or run a mile in under 4 minutes. We need to work diligently. We need to work fast, and we need to live our values while we represent life and we need to do so with love. Ready for the last song of the day? You've heard this earlier when Amy sang it. Her version was called Love Blooms. This version is called Creation Dance. I've cranked it up a bit, added a few tracks of instrumentation, but it will sound best if you join in and clap your hands. The service is over. Let our service continue.